Our team, welcome back to Plastic Surgery Untold, greatest podcast in the world, as voted by us. Today we're talking all about Renuvion. We've talked so much about the weight loss revolution, how the GLPs have changed aesthetics forever. We'll even dive into a little bit of something that I call the Ozempification of aesthetics. Bigger global topic for another day, but today focused on Renuvion because we've gotten so many questions people have seen on our Instagram. What actually is Renuvion, also known as J Plasma, one of their original names? Maybe we'll dive a little bit into the history of that. But Renuvion is a radiofrequency energy mixed with helium. The concept behind this, and we'll dive a little bit into the science for any of you that want to geek out with me, but the idea is that you get to this specific heat, 85 degrees, that can cause skin contracture. And the question is, that's not new and novel in terms of this energy and heat being able to cause skin contracture. The real magic is in how can we do that safely, that we can cause the contracture underneath the skin, we don't cause any superficial burns or skin pigmentation. And that's the beauty of the science. But before we actually dive too deep into that, and we'll get a little bit more into how that actually happens, let's talk a little bit about some of this. The weight loss revolution has affected a lot of us, including me personally. Anyone that's followed my journey knows that I'm down about 90 pounds on the GLP medications, and that's been absolutely fabulous. Probably the best thing I've done for myself personally. No question, I fought the battles of the Ozempic face, neck, butt that we'll talk more about, but there's ways to treat this, and that really has changed over time, because in the past, most of our weight loss individuals and people on their weight loss journey tend to be older, had bariatric surgeries. There's definitely the select few that really pushed through and did lifestyle modifications, but many of the patients needed bigger surgeries. That's not necessarily true in this whole set of the weight loss revolution, where you have a lot of younger patients still having good health, maybe looking for smaller procedures, but having their skin issues that need to be addressed. And the weight loss revolution has affected so many people with the GLP medication. So there's a lot of challenges out there, and a lot of those revolve around skin. And this is where just briefly talking about this Ozempification of aesthetics. So you've seen these unique patient population people, I'm going to put myself in this category, young patients, having a little bit of skin laxity, but still being super young, super fit, super active, and maybe not looking for a lot of downtime, maybe don't need that full big surgery, because a lot of our patients are in that 30 to 40 pound weight loss, have noticed a little bit of skin laxity, maybe not a ton, maybe not ready for a big full face neck lift, maybe not for tummy tuck or circumferential body lift, which are all great procedures in the right person, but looking for some type of change. And we have these new challenges, modern trends, people want to be fit and fabulous, people wanting to be super snatched and tight and right, but we do have some evolving treatments. Some of these new technologies have really been great. The idea behind this is this. We have a unique population, people on their weight loss journey, people that have lost weight. You have this young population looking for maybe less invasive treatments. But on the flip side, we have some new technology that has really come into its own. And some of the technology isn't brand new to the world, but we've really improved our techniques. We've improved our ability to use it. And then you've seen combination treatments, which I think are going to continue to evolve and only become more and more powerful over time. As we get into it, you've seen some of this, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. You've seen this shift towards less invasive. People don't want to miss work. People don't want to limit their downtime. People love procedures under either minimal anesthesia or no anesthesia at all, because you don't have some of that hangover effects of anesthesia. No question, if you're having a little bit of the wellness wallet because you've been spending on the GLP medications, definitely saves you a little bit of money too. Never want to compromise your safety and your health for a decreased price, but if we can get you there safely, save you a little bit of money, love to do that for you as well. Other things is increased demand. No question, our patients who have been part of liposuction and these things, they have demanded better results. And there's so much that we can do in terms of sculpting, shaping, liposuction, but on the flip side, there's things we can't control, how much that skin contracts. And that's why everything we can do to help you along the way is going to be absolutely priceless. And that's where energy devices such as Renuvion come into play to help with some of that. So that's why I think that's so helpful. And emphasize on natural looking, there's only a couple ways to treat skin, and that's to cut it out, that's to fill it, or to tighten it. And so if you think about it, in the past with BBLs, people were trying to overfill butts. They were trying to do these radical excisions. Now, if we can just tighten your own skin, you're going to be super natural, super fit, but still just be looking a little bit more youthful, maybe a little bit more regenerative. So a lot of things come in that way in terms of this. So let's talk about what is Renuvion, why is it so unique, what is the actual science behind this. Their breakthrough is this. The idea that you're able to take the energy involved in a radiofrequency energy and then mix it with helium. That's where it got the nickname J plasma that some of you may have heard, because when the energy combines with the helium, you get this inert gas called plasma. And so that's where the beauty came, because creating this plasma is what lets it get to that heat for just almost an instant and then dissipate. And that's what makes it super safe. There's other devices on the market, but they have to increase the temperature. They have to have probes from a safety standpoint. The idea behind this is that it allows your plastic surgeon to be very efficient, but very safe. And then now we can measure the kilojoules. This is what I'm talking about, the evolution of these devices. Now we become very precise. We measure your area, and then we can treat each area exactly with the amount of energy that we need to get the appropriate response. So super cool to see how this works in terms of the actual device mixing with helium to get you to that perfect spot. This is I want to show you here. For those of you that are watching on YouTube or watching on one of our Instagram reels, this is super cool because you could actually see the energy doing this. So this is what happens on the inside. You actually have the Renuvion J plasma on the inside with the helium coming through. You can see that what you do is you keep the superficial skin temperature much cooler than the underneath tissue. So you're applying the energy where we need those connective tissues to be on the inside to get everything to shrink down, while the skin surface stays at a much cooler temperature. That avoids any burns, hyperpigmentation, things like that, but still lets us be super efficient. And you can see that in our video. So definitely encourage you, check us out on YouTube if you're not, so you can see some of this, but hopefully I've described it pretty well. So I'll summarize. So with Renuvion, you have a can that goes underneath the skin. The idea is to get to 85 degrees Celsius. That's where we get that skin contracture almost instantly, less than 1 second. And so underneath, it'll apply that energy slowly throughout. The helium is what gets it to cool off almost instantly, creating this inert plasma, i.e. the nickname J plasma, while still keeping the skin surface at a 41 degrees Celsius, which keeps you from having burns or the thermal injuries. So that's super cool, super important to keep in mind as well. Here's just another kind of idea behind this. So you can get skin contracture at other temperatures. The problem just becomes the amount of time that we need to spend and a safety episode. So at 85 degrees, it's less than a second to get you that skin tightening. Or if you think about it, it makes sense, right? The less heat, the less energy you have, the longer it takes. So if you go down to 70 degrees Celsius, it takes 42 seconds. If you go down to 65 degrees, it takes almost 2.5 minutes. So if you can imagine 2.5 minutes at every little micro point, it would be an endless amount of time. So what happens is people tend to be undertreated because that's really hard to apply energy over that amount of time. And then one, hard for patients to tolerate. Two, definitely from an anesthesia standpoint, really prolongs the surgery. So the breakthrough is how fast you can get to that temperature and get to a great spot with all of this. Super cool to think about. So when we talk about Renuvion, there's a lot of great devices out there. Some of the things that I think stand out about it when you're talking to your plastic surgeon, and again, there's a lot of devices out there, some different things for different stuff, but for a lot of our large body sculpting, I really love it because of the couple things. One, the safety. We talked about the helium, making sure that the temperature cools down almost instantly. Efficacy. Now we know exactly how much area we have to treat to get a predictable result. And the nice thing is that's been studied out. The other thing that's really cool is how versatile it is, and then the speed. Not that we're in a hurry, but we don't want the surgeries to be so long that you have some of that anesthesia hangover. We want to be able to treat you efficiently and keep moving. No question, if you can decrease the time of surgery, you decrease the risk of complications such as DVT, blood clots, those type of things. And for a lot of our patients, we're doing multiple procedures, Liposuction 360, doing some of the Renuvion J plasma as well. So I want to be able to combine all of those things for you. We talked about some of these challenges, and I'll show you how we do that. And skin laxity is a huge one in the neck, the body, and those type of stuff. We've talked about some of these evolving trends. The Pilates bodies isn't going away. Looking for that super fit, super fabulous appearance, but you only get that if you can tighten the skin, contour, shape everything to get you into a perfect spot. And I think that's what's absolutely key. I think that's what's super important. As we move into stuff, this is one of my favorite examples. Here's someone who looks great. She just has a little bit of a frowny belly button, has a little bit of skin laxity, a little bit of looseness, and the problem just becomes she wants that super athletic, super fit look. And if we just did lipo, she would have some of that loose skin. So we're able to do some high definition liposuction, do some Renuvion to tighten and just transform that entire abdomen. The idea behind that is that we can sculpt it, we can show off all of our hard work, because with a lot of our high definition liposuction, right, we're using the ultrasound to guide us so that we can have your inner beauty come out to the outer. And then the Renuvion makes that skin in like a tablecloth. It shows off all that hard work. So to be able to bring that all together, I think is huge. As we do more and more of this high definition, subtle sexy, subtle definition, really sculpting, you're going to see more and more of this with the Renuvion to help tighten that skin, to show that off, especially in a lot of our patients that are in that little gray zone of the 15 to 30 pound weight loss. They just want to be a little tighter, a little bit sexier. They want to look as good as they feel. So I think this is where you're going to see this continue to explode over time, especially with all the safety. In summary, what is Renuvion? Renuvion is a radiofrequency energy mixed with helium, gets you to that 85 degrees Celsius, keeps the skin cool, keeps you safe, but causes that skin contracture, just getting you tight and right. Hopefully this has been helpful. Plastic Surgery Untold, greatest podcast in the world as voted by us. Feel free to check us out on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your favorite podcast. You can also watch us on YouTube. We'll see